Hi guys, Roske Media here with another review about the Godox SL-60W light. So this is a quick review. This is not about the fan mode itself or how to swap the fans. There are two guys who made perfect and really beautiful reviews on that, and you can see their videos in the link below. The first one is Tommy Callaway, who did the first video I saw, and I wanted to say thank you to Tommy because all these people that are taking from their time and releasing those videos for you and me guys, so we can do those modes and we can use those lights. So thank you, Tommy, and thanks also to the other guy who made the most recent review about the fan mode. I think it's ArtVideo Productions, I don't know his real name, so thank to this guy also. Very nice video. You should see it. There's a link below this video, and you should definitely watch those two videos about how to change the fans and how to do the fan modes. So this video, why I'm making this video, because this is a little modification on the original, fan mode procedure. Why did I modify it? First of all, why do we change the fans on this light? Well, it's pretty basic. This is a very good light, inexpensive, $100, and enough power to be used as you can see it, as a primary light, so as a key light. So that's why we buy it. But when you buy the light, you pretty much can see right away that the light is quite noisy. So a lot of people were thinking, can we change the fan? Can we do something about the noise? So ergo the fan mode, and I think Tommy was the first one who made a video about that. Well, when I saw the videos, I was thinking, there was some comments in the forum saying that those lights cannot function for a long period of time in the summer, especially in light modifiers when you use them at 100%. So that was quite bothersome for me, because this light, by any means, this light is not a very powerful light. So in my case, I'm using it around 80, 100% all the time with light modifiers like I'm doing right now. So it's very important for me that the light is able to function for a couple of hours, maybe in 100% in a softbox or any other type of modifier. So that's why I'm looking for a fan that is maybe a little bit better than the stock one or the ULN version that everybody was using for those fan modes. Because one thing you should know, the stock fan and the ULN version all have the same static pressure. So basically cooling performance on both fans should be the same, since they're placed in front of the radiator. So I wanted something a little bit more punchy to be sure that the light can function at 100% all the time, or at least for a couple of hours in the summer, and in light modifiers, which can heat it a little bit more. So I decided to go with a fan that is the same manufacturer. It's still Noctua, but it's not the FLN version. This one is the FLX version. This is the new one. And besides being a PMW fan, also this fan turns at 2000 RPM. But my idea originally was not to use it at its full power 2000 RPM, because it's quite noisier than the FLX version and you go pretty much closer to the stock fan. I was thinking of using it with the noise reduction cable, and I'll show you here which cable this is, what the label is on it. It's the low noise adapter cable, and not the ultra low noise, not the ultra low noise one, because if you use the ultra low noise adapter cable, you go to like 900 or 700 torques per minute, which is not enough to cool the light. So he's using the low noise adapter cable, and you see here which one I'm using in the insert. And with this cable, the light turns around 1600 RPMs and gives you about, I would say, 26-27% increase in the static pressure, which guarantees you that the light will be running cool. And from what I've been using the light for, I can say that it's never been having problems, and it's cool enough, and I think it's never gonna shut down with this particular fan. So what's the trade-off? The trade-off between this fan and the ULN version is that it's noisier. They say 2.5 dB. I think it's more about 3 and 3.5 dB difference. And I'm gonna shut down now. I'm gonna shut up and let you listen to the light, because I purposely used here a very sensitive mic, which is the Sennheiser MKH 418, and this one is a very, very sensitive mic. This basically can pick any noise, even a fly. This this mic will pick it. So definitely picking the noise from the fan. And but this is, once again, this is a very controlled environment, and you know, depending on the environment, you'll be having a lot more noise in your rooms, and most of the time it's not a problem. But if you're in a studio, in a really controlled environment, you can pick that fan with a really, you know, sensitive mics like this one. So I'm let you hear that. One thing I wanted to see about the procedure of changing the light in the art production video, the second one I'm gonna put here, there's a technique that he was using with a soldering iron, and he was actually using it to toughen the little threads of, you know, cable, so they can enter the holes into the connector. And this is the technique I use. I just recommend, when you do this, when you know, put the wire in the hose, just secure it with an electrical tape in the end, and tidy up all the cables, because in my case, I had a cable that was loose and it was touching the fan. It was really making horrible noises. So really tidy up the cable and, you know, like tie them all together and try to make passages so the cables don't touch anything hot or the fans. And this is one advice I want to give you. The other thing about the FLX, so this fan, as you can hear, maybe you heard it, it's when you put it in, you know, lower power settings, the PCB, that post-modulation PCB that I didn't bypass, actually slows down the fan, and the fan becomes quieter. So if you use it at 50 or 30%, you'll probably have less noise from this fan. So is this fan noisier than the FLN version? Definitely. I think you can pick this fan more than the FLN version, even though I didn't hear the FLN version. I think I heard some tests that were made on the internet, and from the ratings, I would say both fans are now running at the dBs that Noctua is saying. I think they're a little bit, you know, noisier, but this one definitely more than 2.5 dB as rated by Noctua. Well, I think you can hear it, but I can also hear with this mic, I can hear the aperture fans on the aperture 120D, because everybody said aperture, you cannot hear the fan. This mic picks the fan of the aperture 120D also. So this is a very sensitive mic. So bear in mind that most of your mics, if you use in lav mic, there's no way you are picking up this light. And I've been doing interviews with lav mics, and most of the time, I didn't pick anything from this light, even in a very, very quiet environment. So this is really an extreme test, because the MKH 418, this mic is so sensitive. It's so sensitive. It's really more for outside or studio conditions, you know, and most of the time this won't be a problem. So for me, it's not, for now, in most conditions, it's not a big problem. Maybe if I go in studio, and I didn't do shot anything in studio lately with this light since I bought it. But I think maybe in studio, if you sound isolated studios and you have perfect conditions, then, and you really doing something really quiet, then you might have problem with this light. So I don't recommend using the FLX version. For those of you who have a lot of studio work, maybe then go with the FLN version of this fan, because that still give you some, you know, a little bit less noise. You'll still be picking up I think the FLN with those very sensitive mics, but, you know, maybe be less of the problem. But then again, in studio, usually I'll clean up anything. I'll go and clean up my sound, because in very, you know, controlled condition, I'll clean up my sound anyway. So not a problem really. What is important to me is that, you know, the stock fan is not a very good fan. It's a 90mm fan. It's not 80 like those ones. And also it's rated by the Chinese at about 50,000 hours. Most of the time those fans will be starting to get even noisy and having problems around 20,000 or 25,000. And contrary to that, when Noctua says their fan will be running for 150,000 hours, you can be sure that they'll be running for at least 170, 80,000. I have fans, Noctua fans, that have been in the computers for 10 years and still running perfectly and quietly. So Noctua really gives you a warranty, like lifetime warranty for that. And you can be pretty sure the light will die before the fan will. As I say, also the cooling performance of those fans, of the FLX version, those 27% more static pressure will really guarantee me that even in the summer I can work with the light and in hot conditions and not be worried that the light we're gonna switch off because of overheating in the middle of my shot. And that's the more important thing here, not the noise it produces, because the noise is really not that important, especially outside, especially in not controlled environments. Once again, if you're working mainly in studio, isolated sound wise, maybe go for the FLN version. Be very careful in hot conditions with it, but that's all. One thing I wanted to say about flickering, this light is not very powerful. I know some of you guys have Sony cameras and you use an S-Log and you have to shoot at 3200 ISO, which basically makes you use those lights at lower than 20%. Well, for you guys, I only have one word: easy. Just put a softbox on it. And in most cases, I would recommend putting softbox on all those lights. So you put a softbox and definitely you're gonna cut like half, even 2-3 times of the light output. And then you have to go with 50 or 60 or 70% of the light. And then there you go, problem solved. Because at those power ratings, the light doesn't flicker. And this is what I observe here. So flickering is not a problem for me. Most of the time I use the light with modifiers. And I've been using this light between, I'll say 60 and 100. That's what I've been all the time, 61, 60% or 100% power. So that's my personal experience. And I hope if you're doing videos about this mode, about the FLX mode, please, put a link to my video, let some people see it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I see you on my channel again. Bye bye.